and welcome to County Board Wrap-Up, Arlington's review of the key actions the County Board takes at its monthly meeting. I'm your host, Kara O'Donnell, and as we continue to take those precautions during the coronavirus pandemic, Wrap-Up is again going virtual this month. With us today is Board Chair Libby Garvey, as well as Board Member Takis Karantonis. Thank you both for joining us. Now, the board's October meeting came during a very busy fall, with the county obviously still dealing with the global coronavirus pandemic that has touched just about every aspect of our lives, as well as launching efforts to reform policing and begin a community-wide dialogue on race and equity. We're going to tackle those issues and a lot more today. But first, we're going to start with an issue that's really kind of come to the surface even more as a result of the pandemic, and that's childcare. Nationwide, there have been a lot of concerns about the pandemic's impact on childcare and worries that many of the facilities will not be able to survive this time of shutdowns. What are we seeing here in Arlington, and what measures are being taken?
So at the moment, Kara, we are seeing we've got a number of childcare offerings that are actually getting expanded, which I'll talk about, and we approved some of that in our meeting. You're absolutely right that this is an issue that has come so much to the fore now with the pandemic. I think every mother that's tried to have a job and have children at the same time knows this is a really big problem. But the other half of the gender and people that maybe haven't had to deal with that are suddenly discovering, oh yeah, I guess this is maybe a problem. And it really is. I mean, we are seeing more women having to drop out of the workforce because they need to be watching their children. And of course, the fact that our schools are closed right now, they're working virtually, but the children are at home, just makes it all harder. So we are doing what we can, and we are seeing the benefits, I think, of the childcare initiative that Katie Crystal launched when she was chair 2 years ago now. And we have been continuing to try and expand childcare opportunities. I mean, two of the major things we did was a use permit amendment. You do have to, there are all kinds of, use permits and regulations to make sure the childcare is safe, and that's important to do. But we approved a permit amendment for the YMCA Child Care Center in Westover Baptist Church. And that was a before and after school care. But now they're going to be offering it during the day. So they will be providing a safe space for students who are distance learning during the pandemic. And their new operating hours are going to be from 7 in the morning till 6:30 at the night, Monday through Friday, which it's only 20 children. But that's for those 20 children and their families, that's a big deal. And then even more help was offered when we approved also a use permit amendment for Aspire. And they operate out of Arlington Mill Community Center on Columbia Pike. They have also had an after-school program, and that has converted to a full-day program. And this is for up to, it has been for up to 100 children, and now it's going to be up to 120 children. And they will, again, provide a safe space all day for students grades 3 to 5. Who were distance learning during the COVID pandemic. So and we also approved a number of other childcare permits that, people trying to increase their their capacity, and also continuing to operate. So we are really doing as much as we can, and I'd like to give a little plug for our daycare hotline for people who are listening. I mean, I know so many families are struggling with this, and it's not like we have enough for everybody, but there is a lot of information on our online directory. There's a directory of licensed daycare centers and family child care providers, and I'll just make sure I get the number right. You can also call our office, 703-228-1685. And it's 703-228-1685. So you can go online or call that number if you need help for childcare. And I've been talking a lot, but I'm a grandmother. I feel like I've been dealing with childcare for a very long time. But Takis, you might have a few words to say, because I know you've been really active with Aspire and the community center.
And it was really refreshing to see how many individual homes have been approved for up to 12 kids each one. I'm of course, and we are all conscientious. We are cognizant about the fact that the majority of these individual homes are really catering to households that have the economic ability to pay for this. However, they aspire. The kids with the Aspire program and the YMCA program, these are really kids that come from the most challenged families right now. in their vast majority, they're kids of from households where their parents are essential workers. So this is a continuous focus for the Arlington County Board. And I have to say, in addition, both in the case of Aspire and the YMCA, the accommodation included really expanding the space and making a lot of effort from these both very valuable nonprofit organizations that will be providing this service in an ongoing base.
Yep, there's a lot of work to do, and I will say we have been working with a couple of community centers and getting them ready to have childcare if that works out. Our problem so far, Cara, has been just the employees to staff them, because you have to have trained folks. So, we have been talking with our school system and others, and if we can find a way to find folks that are certified to work with young people, we do have some more space to use. So, I'd like to think this is a crisis and we're going to be through it soon, but I think we're in a chronic situation here. I think this has been going on for a while. So we'll be continuing to work on this.
Yeah, and maybe also a plug for, these are two nonprofits that are based in Arlington, have been working in Arlington for a very long time. They're part of our social safety net of nonprofit organizations. As everybody knows, nonprofit organizations depend also on donations and support, philanthropic support. So Aspire, After School Learning, and the YMCA that works for us here in Arlington. Thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, we mentioned earlier that it's been a struggle, not only for the families, but for the child care facilities themselves to stay open through this entire pandemic. And it's at a time when their services are more critically needed than ever. Have you heard from other child care facilities who are interested in expanding the hours? You mentioned the two, that have expanded already. Have you heard from the others that there's interest in expanding hours at other facilities as well?
Some, not so much. They're not so many. They're just before and after. So obviously anybody listening to this, if they are interested, please come to us, and we're absolutely willing to work with them. But and we're willing to do whatever we can. But not that I've heard. Our child care offers may have, and maybe Takas has, but not that I've heard from.
There is constant interest. The problem is that, operating a facility like that needs a lot of dedications, backup resources, what happened, contingency plans, etc. This is not a very straightforward under the current conditions. And in order to have a safe environment, both for the kids as well for the personnel, there are a lot of moving parts that have to align here. And this is not an easy, it's definitely a very difficult endeavor every single time. So, but we are keeping our focus, laser sharp on bringing about more resources that will help, and a workforce that increasingly, hopefully, will be returning to work and therefore will be needing the support of the daycare services.
Yeah. And doing what we can to support the school system to help them get kids back as quickly as possible.
I think that will be
that's the key
metric as we move forward through all of this.